What's up, everyone? Welcome to the NBA Daily Podcast, your home for useless facts about the NBA. So, kicking off today, we're going to be talking about the 4 huge games in the past 2 days that have happened. The first game we're going to talk about is the best game. That was the Game 6 series of Portland Trail Blazers versus the Los Angeles Clippers. Portland Trail Blazers won this game and the series with a 106-103 victory. But man, was this a gutsy effort by the Clippers. The Clippers were missing Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, and JJ Redick was also injured in this game. He had a heel injury that's been bothering him, I guess, for the last couple of games and will be bothering him for a while in the offseason. And they came out there and they put up a fight all the way to the end, including a chance to actually tie this game to go to overtime, but they were unfortunately unable to do it. But really, to start it off, we got to talk about what happened in the first quarter. And that was when Austin Rivers got elbowed in the head by Al-Farouq Aminu. And it was obviously an accidental contact, but it blew apart his eye, his left eye, and he could not see for the rest of the game. He went out with so much blood in his face, they had to put 11 stitches. He had lacerations above and below his eye socket. He was closed up and it was swollen like an egg. And you know what he did? He put up one of the best performances of his career in a playoff game that was going to be an elimination game. And it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible to watch. Austin Rivers went out there afterwards and had 14 points after his injury. He had 7 before it for a total of 21. And he had 8 assists and 6 rebounds with one eye, carrying this team, especially in the third quarter, which they did win, which led them to having a lead in the fourth quarter, going into it at least. And also, it was a great performance, despite the fact that he's been doubted by pretty much everyone. People always talk about how he's only on this team because he's Doc Rivers' son, or that he's only on the team because they have no other choice. They needed him. But in reality, he's a good NBA player, and he showed it last night. He even hit a step-back 3 that was nasty with one eye. This dude went out there with almost no depth perception and balled out. He was 8 for 19, 1 for 6 from 3, which is obviously explainable from the fact that he couldn't see, and he still tried his best. Also, great performers by the Clippers with Jamal Crawford with 32 points on 10 of 25 shooting. Unfortunately, he missed the shot that could have tied the game, but he was the only reason why they were in the game, especially in the first half. He had 21 of their 48 points in the first half. That's pretty crazy, and a great effort by him. 6th man of the year, and he showed it. JJ Redick actually put up a pretty good game, 15 points despite being injured, and DeAndre Jordan was a monster, as usual, as he's been all series. 15 points and 20 rebounds. Great effort, really, from them. And they fought all the way to the end, which is incredible to think about since they were missing 2 of their best players. One of their third best players was injured, and then their backup point guard, who is now starting, lost his eye in the first quarter. The first quarter. And they still fought. And that was an incredible effort. And if Austin Rivers had made that shot to tie the game at the end, too, that they had to heave for, after Jamal Crawford had missed his shot, then it would have been one of the craziest shots, I think, in NBA playoff history for the past decade. Because it was incredible. I can't even state how awe-inspiring that is to watch a player go out there and fight like that. Because he must have been in some severe pain. But it was a loss for the Clippers because they faced off against a Portland team that was hungry for a win and that's been playing really well, especially without Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. It was really tough. Mason Plumlee had another great game with 9 points, 4 assists, and 14 rebounds. But the real story is obviously Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum having great games as usual. Damian Lillard had 28 points and 7 assists, and CJ McCollum had 20 points and 4 assists for another great game. Obviously, their bench chipped in a little bit, especially Allen Crabbe. And overall, they just played really well, really good as a team. They shot 44% overall and 44% from 3, compared to the 25% for the Clippers. And that was really the difference. And so, they won. They're moving on, despite having more turnovers than the Clippers. They obviously had more healthy players and a much better team at this rate. But Clippers gave a good effort and should be really proud of their team, especially Austin Rivers, who seems like he's really turning into a good player. He's had a couple of big games in the playoffs the past 2 years, and it's really awesome to see. But with this loss, the Clippers are eliminated, and the Trailblazers get the lucky draw of playing the Golden State Warriors in the second round playoffs. So they're actually going to be playing this afternoon at 4 o'clock. It's going to be a great game, most likely. I hope that Damian Lillard can continue his streak against the Golden State Warriors. He's averaged 36.5 points per game throughout the season against them, which is the best in the league. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not he can put up an effort like he did after the All-Star break when he dropped 51 on them. But we'll see. Another great game from Friday night was the Miami Heat versus the Charlotte Hornets in Game 6 in Charlotte. Now, this is the chance for the Hornets to close out the playoff series, and they really should have. But the Heat won this 97-90 on the back of none other than Dwayne Wade. Now, I personally don't like Dwayne Wade, but holy crap is he clutch. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, but that doesn't even tell you the whole story. The end of the game for Dwayne Wade was one of the most incredible stretches I've seen in a long time. He was so clutch from everywhere. With 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Dwayne Wade hit a 3-point shot. This 3 put the Heat up 90-81, 9-point lead, which is pretty hard to overcome in the ending minutes of a Game 6. But not only that, it was his first 3-pointer since December. He went 58 games between hitting threes. And then he continued. When the Heat started to feel pretty close because the Hornets had cut the lead all the way from 9-2. It was 90-88 off of the backs of a Kemba Walker reverse layup and a pull-up 3 from him. Then Dwayne Wade hit another 3 with 46 seconds to go. Second 3 of the game, which doesn't happen ever for Dwayne Wade, to put them up back 5. Then, after Jefferson had a layup to make it 93-90, Wade hit an 18-foot turnaround jump shot to make it 95-90 with 19 seconds left, which basically closed the game out because Kemba Walker missed the layup, which effectively ended the game. But it was incredible. Wade had some of the clutchest shots I've seen in a while for him because he hasn't been doing much lately, dominating offensively at least. Because of his knee injuries, he wasn't really the dominant force for the Heat during the LeBron years. But man, that was clutch last night. Those 2 threes and then that turnaround fadeaway, that looked like vintage Dwayne Wade. And it helped clinch the game for them. And obviously, it was a great game between the two teams. Hard fought. Kemba Walker had 37 points that game. And it was incredible. 14 of 30, 4 for 8 from 3. Great shooting. Also, Al Jefferson had another huge game, 18 and 9. And then Cody's off the bench at 12 points. But one of the main problems was Marvin Williams had another awful game. He was 0 for 7. And Jeremy Lin was 1 for 8. And you can't win with your second best player, Jeremy Lin. Since Nicholas Batum has been playing pretty injured, I said Jeremy Lin was the second best player for the Hornets. And he went 1 for 8. You can't do that. He was huge and instrumental for them getting a 3-game winning streak in the middle of this series. So now the series is tied, going to a Game 7 today. And it'll be very interesting to see whether or not the Hornets can actually pull off another road win against the Heat. I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna get blown out probably because the Heat have all the momentum again. They took it back with this road win, and I think it's over. But it was still a great, great game, and I think it's a great series so far. Hopefully it'll be a closer Game 7, but I doubt it. Oh, and speaking of blowouts, Pacers versus the Raptors. Pacers won this Game 6 in, obviously, Indiana to tie the series 3-3. They won 101-83 in a fantastic effort by the Trash Brothers, especially DeMar DeRozan, who had an amazing 3 for 13 performance for 8 points. Wow, incredible, right guys? Just incredible. He had his great breakout game last game in Game 5 with 34 points, followed it up with this amazing performance, we'll say that. 4 turnovers, 1 assist, 8 points on 13 shots. Yeah. It's going to be tough to win when your second best player does that. Oh, and Kyle Lowry, your best player, had a nice grand total of 10 points on 4 of 14 shooting, 1 of 7 from 3. The only good thing is he did chip in with 10 assists, running the offense. He's had some trouble since his injuries during the regular season, but he did help with the assists, and that was huge. Also, Damari Carroll helped keep it close. He had 15 points, and Jonas Valanciunas had 14, and Corey Joseph again had 15. Another great game by him off the bench. But it wasn't nearly enough to beat the starting lineup of the Pacers. Every single person in the starting lineup was in double digits, which is huge. Paul George had 21 points on 5 of 14 shooting, but 11 rebounds and 6 assists. Plus, he outscored the Trash Brothers, Lowry and DeRozan, by himself. You can't allow that to happen. He's also been showing his facilitating skill as well, by passing it around the team and making sure he finds the open man. Monte Ellis was huge too. He had 5 assists, 14 points on great shooting. George Hill had 12 points, 4 assists, poor shooting but didn't matter. And then Mahimi had another good game, 12 points. Miles Turner, the rookie, 15 and 9. Just overall, the whole team had great efforts. And on the defensive end, they were absolutely incredible. 12 steals total, 7 blocks with 4 for Miles Turner, just rejecting everything at the rim. Incredible effort. And they won. They blew him out and that was huge because they outscored them by 22 in the second half. You can't allow that to happen if you're trying to close out a series. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see if this Game 7 is going to be close or not. Because it seems to me like every game this series has been pretty much a blowout except for Game 5 when Toronto had to make the huge comeback. So we'll see. But this is going to be the best game to watch, I think, on Sunday, which is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and will be in Toronto. Toronto can't win this game and they actually lose in another series in the first round against the 7th seed. Man, I don't know what those fans are going to do, but they're going to be put on suicide watch because it's been an awful stretch for the Toronto Raptors. Since 2001, they haven't won a playoff series, and they're going up against a player like Paul George who is so clutch and will put up such huge numbers for this team. It's going to be very, very interesting to watch whether or not they can pull it off in their home court, which they should be able to do, as long as DeRozan doesn't play like absolute trash and Lowry plays better on offense. He's been running the offense well. He just needs to shoot a little better. And then finally, the final game that was a blowout was the Saturday night matchup between the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is the first matchup of the second round of the playoffs. And obviously, everyone hyped this game up to be huge. Because the Thunder, very good, 3rd seed. Spurs, awesome, 2nd seed. So people thought it was going to be a great puncher's match where both teams were going to go at each other, one hit for one hit. Well, they were wrong. San Antonio Spurs dropped 43 in the first quarter to tie a franchise record. OKC dropped 20. They were down by 33 at halftime after being outscored 43-20 in the first quarter and 30-20 in the second. And you can thank LaMarcus Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard. LaMarcus Aldridge looked like he couldn't miss. Neither could Kawhi Leonard. Combined, they shot for 77.5%. LaMarcus Aldridge had 38 points, 8 points less than his career high in the playoffs. And Kawhi Leonard had 25, 5, and 5 in only 21 minutes of play. Marcus Aldridge only played for 30. Just incredible. Also, Danny Green's cold streak, which has been pretty consistent throughout the season, he's been pretty bad, ended last night. Oh man, did it end. 5 for 6 from 3, 18 points. Those 3 players combined had 11 points less than the Thunder had in total for the game, and they didn't even play in the fourth quarter. It was basically such a blowout that they had to sit all the starters by the end of the third quarter. I mean, they had the scrubs in by 6 minutes left in the third because it was a 44-point game at one point. 43. Not that it makes it any better. Also, Tony Parker had 12 assists for a huge game, which means their offense was just running on all cylinders. And when the Spurs offense runs like that, it's over. And on the other side, Russell Westbrook had his awful game, which you can expect once in a while in a series. 5 for 19, 14 points, 9 assists. Just awful shooting. And also, Kevin Durant, 6 for 15, 40% shooting, and only 16 points. He did have 6 assists, but the problem with Durant is he's not been shooting very efficiently in the playoffs. Now, given it's only been 6 games in total, he's only shot 35%. That's not good. Durant is supposed to be one of the most efficient scorers in NBA history, and yet, this playoffs, he's turning into Mr. Unreliable. Now, I don't know if anyone remembers that, but a couple of years ago, back when the Oklahoma City Thunder were playing in the playoffs, an OKC reporter stated that Durant was Mr. Unreliable because he doesn't show up in the playoffs. Now, he proved him wrong and he showed up really consistently for the past couple of years. But I feel like that nickname's starting to come out again. He's not been shooting very well, and I'm not sure if it's a simple slump or if it's the fact that he's facing off against Kawhi Leonard, who is just shutting him down. But it's going to end or the Thunder season is over. They can't win without Durant or Westbrook playing well. And, oh my god, Ibaka got eaten alive. He could not defend against LaMarcus Aldridge whatsoever, and he shouldn't even bother trying. I don't know what they're going to do to try to defend against LaMarcus Aldridge in Game 2, but they need to come up with something fast. Double teams, some sort of defensive shift in order to prevent him, maybe a zone type of defense just against LaMarcus Aldridge. But that fadeaway is money, and they had no answers for him. So we're going to see how they can actually game plan for the next game in order to come back in the series. But man, that loss was demoralizing. Losing 124-92 in a first game of a playoff series is tough to come back from. The Spurs need to be wary though, because back in 2012, they were up 2-0 on the Thunder and then lost that series in 6 games. This Thunder team can be very resilient and very streaky. If they get hot again, if Durant starts shooting well, if Westbrook starts shooting well, then they may very well win this series. But that's a very big if. So we're going to have to watch and see Game 2, which will hopefully be very entertaining, unlike the first game, which was so disappointing for basketball fans around the country who were all tuning in to watch this heavyweight fight. But we're going to have to move on and focus on the 2 Game 7s and the Game 1 for Sunday. The Game 1, which will be between the Golden State Warriors and Portland Trail Blazers, and the Game 7s between Hornets-Heat and Pacers-Raptors. Those are going to be what's going to be fun to watch today. So, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, leave a like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you did like or what you didn't like. And have a great day, everyone.